High School. Thank you for coming in and sitting with your class. This morning we have a very important assembly, and this entire morning has been run by your classmates and your peers here at Westbrook High School, our team leadership. A lot of time and effort has gone into this red flag campaign. I don't know if you've noticed out in front of the building, we have over 200 flags out in front of our building. We have a red flag hanging over our front center flags for this very important campaign about domestic violence, dating violence, and a campaign and a prevention method to hopefully keep you all safe for the future. I appreciate your attention. We have many distinguished guests this morning. You're going to hear from your classmates, and I appreciate your attention in this very important matter. And if I could ask who's going to be up first, Mr.
I am.
So a big round of applause for Mr. Bielicki.
I just want to give a little overview of today's assembly. Students will describe the Red Flag Campaign, its origin, Westbrook's involvement, review statistics, and then introduce our guest speakers today. Our guests will elaborate on their organization's efforts and focus in the areas of domestic violence and sexual assault. But it's important today for all of us to utilize our emotional intelligence with sensitivity, realizing that these topics have different and more difficult levels of association and impact on all of us and each of us. We do not know the details of everyone's life, and we need to be conscious of this, not only during the auditorium or in the hallways or in our cafeteria, but through life. We need to be conscious that we don't know what people have gone through or are going through. That being said, if any of you would like to talk to any of our panelists afterwards, you're welcome to do so. They'll be here for a few minutes. And as you know, we have a psychologist, a social worker, guidance counselors, and teachers that you can always go to with any issues whatsoever. And now to get us started, I'd like to introduce Sonora St. Ange.
All right, so good morning, students and staff. So we decided to start off the day by talking about what the Red Flag Campaign is and where it all began. So in 2005, the Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Action Alliance came together to bring light to the red flags that happen in relationships. Now they started this campaign at the college level. And by 2006, only a year later, 10 Virginia colleges were already registered within the Red Flag Campaign. Today, over 500 colleges across the United States participate in the Red Flag Campaign. Here at Westbrook High School, we decided why wait. We know that these are issues that people of all ages face, especially at our age, and so we want to bring attention to them today so you guys can have the tools to deal with them before going off to college. I would like to introduce Lily Curon to highlight some of the colleges that participate.
So a few of the Connecticut schools that participate are Southern Connecticut State University, Eastern Connecticut State University, Quinnipiac University, Trinity College, University of Hartford, University of Bridgeport, the University of New Haven, the University of Connecticut, Central Connecticut State University, Western Connecticut State University, Wesleyan University, and then Westbrook High School. And we are the first and possibly the only high school in the country to participate in the Red Flag Campaign, which is why we are thrilled to present this presentation to you today. And the Red Flag Campaign's mission. The Red Flag Campaign is a public awareness campaign designed to address dating violence and promote the prevention of dating violence on college campuses. Today we are bringing it on to our campus. And now we have a video to further show the mission.
now like to share some national statistics with all of you. Females between the ages of 16 to 24 are roughly 3 times more likely to experience physical abuse. Only 1/3 of teens who were involved in an abusive relationship confided in someone about the violence, but 67% said they would not have told anyone when they saw a red flag. Nearly 80% of girls who have been physically abused in their intimate relationships continue to date their abuser. 50% of young people who experience rape, physical, or sexual abuse will attempt to commit suicide. 1 in 17 women and 1 in 45 men have been stalked in their lifetime. More than 1 in 4 teenage girls in a relationship report enduring repeated verbal abuse. Roughly 1.5 million high school boys and girls in the US admit to being intentionally hit or physically harmed in the last year by someone they are romantically involved with. Teens who suffer from dating abuse are subject to long-term consequences like alcoholism, eating disorders, promiscuity, thoughts of suicide, and violent behavior. And now I'd like to invite up Emily and Selena to talk about Westbrook's results.
As WHS, we have a mission, and that is to bring the principles and practices of the Red Flag campaign in our school so we can better be prepared for issues we may presently be facing or those that may come in our future. As you may recall, you had all taken a survey on your knowledge of sexual assault and domestic violence. We are pleased to say that we had a 92% response rate, and we thank you for that. There are many red flags that can be recognized in an unhealthy relationship. In one of the surveys, it is clear that we all know what is unhealthy, yet the result that we are about to review indicate that we either know of someone or we ourselves have experienced these actions. Their survey is the foundation of our presentation today. In question 1, it states, have you experienced or do you know someone with a partner who acts in ways to scare their significant other? 20% of our student body said yes. That's alarming, thinking it is 1/5 of our school.
Question number 2 was, have you experienced or do you know someone with a partner who acts jealous or possessive to their significant other? About 41% said yes. That number is extremely high for a small school like ours.
Question 3 states, have you experienced or do you know someone with a partner who tries to control where one goes or needs to know where one is at all times? Almost half of our student body said yes.
Question number 4 was, have you experienced or do you know someone with a partner who checks one's calls, emails, or texts of their significant other? About 34% said yes. That is 1/3 of our school, which again is quite significant.
Question 5 states, have you experienced or do you know someone with a partner who tells the significant other what to wear or make them change one's clothes? Almost 20% said yes.
Have you experienced or do you know someone with a partner who calls their significant other or texts them excessively or insists that one answers their call in a specific time frame? And about 1/3 of our school said yes.
Question 7 states, have you experienced or do you know someone with a partner who shoves, kicks, or hits their significant other? Almost 15% of our student body said yes. The percentage may seem low, however, we are talking about physical violence, so comparably, this is alarming.
Question number 8 said, have you experienced or do you know someone with a partner who blames their significant other for the hurtful things they say or do? Again, 1/3 said yes.
And lastly, question 9 states, have you experienced or do you know someone who has been in an abusive relationship? 35% responded with yes to this question. These survey results are the reason we are here today. As Sonora said in her opening, why wait to address such issues in college when we know through the survey that this is present in our teenage years? And now we would like to share a video that really resonated with us.
Because I love you. I want to be your only guy.
Because I love you, skip class with me. Let's stay in bed today.
Because I love you, I just want to be with you so freaking much.
Because I love you.
I waited for you after Chem Lab.
You were walking with Mark?
Because I love you.
You shouldn't be hanging out with that dude.
You should know how dumb that makes me look. I don't care if she's your lab partner.
Why do you have texts from him?
Because I love you. This number,
Delete.
Because I love you. This Jason number?
delete.
And Ben,
Delete.
because I love you, I should smash your phone.
I'll let you give me your password instead.
Because I love you.
I will check your texts every day.
You got lucky. Because I love you. Because I love you.
You think it's okay?
Because I love you. You understand.
Because I love you. You stopped talking to your classmates.
And you feel completely alone.
Because I love you.
Our first guest is from New Horizons in Middletown, Connecticut. New Horizons provides domestic violence services, including a 24-hour hotline, emergency shelter, community education, and court advocacy. We have been working with representatives from New Horizons since 2017, when we had our first awareness day. They have been instrumental in providing workshops focused on domestic violence advocacy and building healthy relationships. It is my pleasure to introduce Brooke Mansfield, Community Outreach Advocate and Educator.
Hi guys. My name is Brooke. I work for New Horizons. I started working at New Horizons about 6 months ago, doing the community outreach. So some of you might have seen Alyssa. She used to be in my position and she'd come here a lot. But today I just wanted to talk about kind of what we do at New Horizons and what we cover and how we can help address all those statistics that you learned about, right? So they can seem kind of scary, but there are resources available. Every year we reach about 3,000 individuals in the Middlesex County. So we cover Middlesex County, which is included. Westbrook is included, right, in that, in those numbers. So there are 18 other agencies, and you'll hear from one today too, that cover the rest of the state and also offer all the same things we offer and more. We're also part of the Community Health Center, which is a statewide and also nationwide health center that we're really lucky to be a part of, as we can get our victims and our survivors into healthcare and things like that a lot easier, which is really cool. These are just some numbers for New Horizons and what we worked at in the 2023 year. So in 2023, our shelter actually ran at 250% capacity, meaning we had, almost 2.5 times the amount of people in our shelters that we actually have space for. So we had to pay for a lot of hotels to get people out of an unsafe situation, right? We had to work with them to maybe get them into a different shelter, or sometimes we pay for people to go to live with their family in a different state, right? So getting them where they can out of an unsafe situation, right? So we served 3,545 clients in Middlesex County alone, and that includes 16,000 encounters, meaning we talked to them on the phone, we emailed them, we saw them in court, they called our hotline, that's a 24-hour hotline, anything like that. So we had a lot of encounters with people who needed help, specifically from domestic violence and dating violence. In Westbrook alone, we got 300 calls on our hotline, which is quite a lot, right, for such a small town. And we had multiple families from the area that we housed, whether it be in a hotel, in our shelter, and things like that. We also did 4 community events and 11 educational sessions in this area, which is really cool. So while we're seeing all these calls from people, that means we know that they know we're a resource, which is the most important thing. So what is available? Our 24-hour hotline is very plain and simple. It's a 24-hour hotline. We take calls all night. Last night I worked second shift on our hotline 4 to 12. And I just wait and see who's gonna call. We might get calls from police officers who are doing, have been called to a domestic incident, right? And they do what's called a lethality assessment, and they see how likely that person is and how high danger that person is. And if I get that kind of call, I talk with that victim, make sure they know about our resources. And a lot of times they'll say, can I call you back at a later time, or can you call me back at a later time? As it's a really stressful situation, right? So those are the kind of calls we might get. We get calls from family members who say, hey, I kind of noticed something going on with somebody. How can I help them? How can we help them? Things like that. We also do individual crisis counseling, which is really cool. We're not therapists at New Horizons, right? But we do offer, and we are certified to be domestic violence advocates and counselors. So we do 8-week sessions, or once a week for 8 weeks. And our advocates talk to them about red flags, legal situations that they might be going through, anything with their kids that they might need help with, things like that, which is a really cool thing. A lot of people wonder if they need insurance to do this. It's all totally free, and we offer everything at no charge, which is really cool. Obviously, our emergency shelter, as I talked about, we are running at a very high capacity, so we're always looking to do this kind of stuff to make sure that we're preventing this from happening later on in life, so that we can get those shelters down and obviously make sure people stay safe. And then we have 2 court advocates in our court in Middletown, which is really cool. They're there to listen to arraignments. They're there to get victim input to make sure that those people know that their voice matters in that court case, right? Obviously, it's not always up to the victim, but they're able to get their voice heard because we have these advocates in our court system, which is really cool. We also have a child advocate, which is really nice, as there were over 300 kids that we served last year, specifically in Middlesex County, which is quite a lot of kids, right? And a lot of people that are impacted at such a young age. So our child advocate works with them, works with the parents to make sure that they are getting all the services that they need, whether they're being referred to therapy, things like that. And then my job is to come out and make sure that you and everybody knows about who we are, right? And if the one thing you take away is that we're just a resource for you, you can always call us. We have a hotline, obviously, and that's literally there just so we can answer your questions. We have a pretty big team of advocates. We also have a housing advocate, and that person helps people get back on their feet, right? Housing is very expensive right now, and it's also very hard when, say, you were in an abusive situation and your partner was stealing your money, right? Was taking all your money. Now you don't have any income, you don't have anybody to yourself that you saved. So when you're fleeing from that situation, it's hard to go and just get a new place to live. So we have somebody to help with that as well. So when somebody calls our hotline as a survivor or somebody who's in a domestic situation, they can expect one of our advocates to answer the phone very empathically, ready to answer their questions and ready to help as much as possible. We complete what's called a universal intake, and we just get all of the information that we might need to best help that person get all the help they need. So we ask questions about physical, mental health, those kinds of things, if they have kids, how much money they make, if they get food stamps, anything like that. And it all is just to get a universal background about this person and how best we can help them. If they need legal help, divorce help, right, custody, things like that. So we get that information, and then we give it to our program manager, right? And she decides and kind of works with us to decide where best this person can go, if shelter's right for them, if really we just need to work on getting them a housing deposit or security deposit because they do have an income, things like that. So it's all very case by case and different for everybody, which makes our job interesting and fun. And at the end of every call, if it's with a victim, survivor, we do what's called safety planning. And safety planning is kind of the main thing that we do at New Horizons with our victims. The goal is to make sure there's a plan in place for whatever step they're in this relationship. There's 3 different types of safety planning. Immediate safety planning would be, are you safe right now? Where can you go right now to be safe, right? A short-term safety plan might be if they're not quite ready to leave, or remembering that it's not always safe to leave. Leaving is one of the most dangerous times in a relationship, right? So it might not be the safest time to leave. It might actually be safer to stay in that relationship for a while longer. So safety planning for that type of situation might include always being near an exit, right? Having your keys on you, your phone on you, so that you can leave quickly and safely if the time does come. Long-term safety planning might be for leaving the relationship, right? Having a bag packed and ready to go, making sure that you have all your documents ready and you have a go bag just in case it does get to that point where there's no other choice, right? So encouraging people to make those plans, and we help them do that so that they're in the best situation for themselves and can keep themselves and their kids safe, right? So how can you help somebody who's experiencing domestic violence, dating violence, if you notice something in your friends and your friends' parents? Just being that person for them that they can go to and open up with, you know. Bringing it up to somebody while they may seem awkward about it can be really helpful. And it's important, listening without judgment, developing that safety plan. There's a lot of resources on the internet on how to safety plan that are really easy to use, which is really cool nowadays. And ensuring that you know the resources, right? So we are a resource in this area. 211 is a resource. Our statewide hotline is also a resource. If that person, you don't know what agency covers that person, right? Or that person's area. And then always just be that consistent support person that they can come to. Obviously, respecting boundaries, your own boundaries is important, but making sure that you're that person for somebody, right? If you do recognize those signs, that they can always have you to go on. And just some key reminders about our services that we offer. They're 100% confidential, obviously, unless you're going to hurt yourself or others. They're available regardless of income, immigration status, anything like that, totally free. We don't discriminate on anything like that. And as teens, you don't need a parental consent to call us. You can always call us. And then, like I said, you don't need insurance or anything like that. It's totally free, which is really cool. So the one thing that I'd like you to remember is just that we are a resource here, right? And you can always call us. There's no stupid questions. There's no bad question. You can always just call us, ask that question, and we're here to help. All right.
Our next panelists are from the Women and Family Center in Meriden, Connecticut. We just started working with this agency this year, and they offer programs on topics related to sexual violence prevention, along with any related trainings. The Women and Family Center's Sexual Assault Crisis Services Program offers support to those who have recently experienced sexual assault or have been trying to cope with a past sexual assault. At this time, I would like to introduce Gracie Anderson, LGBTQ counselor advocate, and Brian Grabber, child counselor advocate.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad we're here to talk to you today. We have lots of information to share. We're going to tell you a little bit about our agency and what we do, but we also want to get into these big topics because I know this is front of mind for you all. This is important, especially to the organizers of the assembly today, to think about and talk about consent and healthy relationships. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. This is the general information about our center. So we're out of the Women and Family Center, specifically we're the Sexual Assault Crisis Services. We have offices in Meriden, Middletown, Guilford, and New Haven. So there are many options to meet with folks and get the support that you need. This is our hotline, so similar to New Horizons, we also have a hotline. It's important to note that we specifically are working with sexual assault survivors, but also the loved ones of people who experience sexual assault. So we'll take hotline calls and work with any folks kind of in that world. This is our specific hotline, the first one there. That would come directly to us. You all are in our service area, so you'd want to call that number. But we also have the general statewide hotline because, like New Horizons, we're a part of a larger coalition of sexual assault crisis agencies across the state. So wherever you are in Connecticut, you can get the same supports that we offer. This is just our little introduction to both of us. I'm Gracie, this is Brian. We're really excited to be here with you all. We have counselors that have a lot of different specialties, so what it means for me to be the LGBTQ counselor is I do a lot of outreach with the queer community, and if somebody specifically requests a queer identified counselor, I'll work with them. But I also work with a lot of folks who are not in the LGBTQ community. Brian, I want to invite you up just to talk a little bit about your role.
It's a pleasure to be here, and my thing is we have so many resources out there for you, but I usually go to the schools and I talk to high school kids all the time, and to protect you, your health and well-being is the number one thing. There are a lot of things that go on out there, the numbers are staggering, and I want you to be prepared and know what to do. When I first came into this position, I was amazed at what I was seeing. This is a very important message we're trying to get across to you. When you go out there, you gotta protect yourself. You're your number one advocate. So usually when I go to a school, I'll be there all day going to all the classes, and I can sit here and talk for quite some time and give you information that would be like, you gotta be kidding me. But you're gonna be going off to college, you're gonna be going to parties and things like that. And have a buddy system. Watch your drink, just don't put it down. People I deal with now, over 50% of them have something slipped in their drink. And every single one, they don't remember a thing. That's what it does. It's crazy. There's just so much I'd like to talk about, but you gotta protect yourself out there. And everything we talked about too, the people we work with, if they traumatized, it's with them for the rest of their life. Okay, I call it the gray area. If you are in a situation with consent and you're not sure what to do, okay, take a step back. Quite many years ago, a friend of mine was going off to Clemson to play basketball, Division I scholarship, free ride, everything. Ended up going to a party. He made a mistake, touched somebody inappropriately. And like you were saying earlier, you don't know what's going through that person at that moment. That person may be so vulnerable. He never went to Clemson. Never pretty much, his passion was basketball, never picked that up again. His life was changed. That person's life was changed. And it's just, I want you to protect yourself out there. That gray area, back away from it. If you are unsure, do yourself a favor and take a step back. I want you guys to be protected. Because I think you guys go for your passion and your dreams out there. Go do what you want to do. And you deserve a healthy relationship. Now, people who we deal with, sometimes they end up getting in unhealthy relationships. The numbers are staggering. They're up there because they don't feel loved. They'll do anything they can do to make themselves feel good and get in a relationship. So look out for yourself. You deserve a healthy relationship, and I can sit here and talk forever, but I guess I better turn over the mic.
Yeah, just to echo everything Brian's saying, we know this is really important for you to be thinking about consent and healthy relationships right now in this moment, and also for the rest of your lives. So I'm glad we're starting this conversation with you all at this stage, and thank you again to team leadership for putting this together. I just wanted to do a brief overview of our services. Many of them are familiar now that you've heard from New Horizons. We have that 24/7 hotline. This is a number that you can call if you need support. This is a number, hospitals will call this number, and we'll sit with folks in the hospital as they have their sexual assault kits completed. People will call this number for just more info about what the criminal justice process might look like. If you have any questions related to sexual assault, you can call this number. And what it would look like for those of you who are under the age of 18, I just want to make this note. We are mandatory reporters, just like your teachers or your coaches. So if you disclose any kind of abuse that's happening to you, we do have to report it. But I don't want that to scare you off because first of all, you can call the hotline and ask to remain anonymous. And if you ask to remain anonymous, you can still get answers to your questions without us having to make a report. But also, the reason we make a report is to keep you and the people around you safe, okay? If you have any more specific questions about that, come and talk to us after we're all finished up. We do hospital and legal accompaniment, like I mentioned. We also do short-term counseling and support groups. Brian and I co-facilitate a support group, and our entire group is made up of survivors of childhood sexual abuse. So that's always front of mind for us as we're doing these school presentations. If something's happened to you, you want to address it as soon as you can, and we're a support to do that. We also offer information, resources, and referrals. All of our services are also free and confidential. We want to talk to you now a little bit about what consent looks like. This is really important. This is the meat of our conversation here. So I'm going to let Brian talk a little bit about the things that make consent what it is.
Okay, consent is, you got to make sure everybody's on board and everybody you agree to this is unambiguous, affirmative, and conscious decision by each person to engage in mutually agreed upon sexual activity. And that's, you gotta make sure, no doubt in your mind, okay? Hands down, make the right decision. Revocable, it is revocable, okay? I could be at a party Friday night and I'd be in a great mood and I'm off doing my thing, and then, Tuesday comes along and you come knocking on my door, and I'm like, no, it was one time, it was a mistake or whatever it might be, it is revocable. So don't think just because one time you had sexual activity with somebody, it's an open door policy the entire time. No, it's not, it's revocable. You have to respect the person you're with. You don't know what's going through them. You don't know what's on their mind, so just be careful. Verbal and nonverbal, enthusiastic consent can be expressed verbally or through nonverbal clues, okay? Body language. I think it's a great skill to have, to be able to read somebody's body language, okay? See if those nonverbal things are going on, that's what I wanted to protect yourself. And, I always mention something about that support group we run on Thursday nights. You have to make sure you look out for yourself, okay? If you need to talk to somebody, please seek out these resources because the people that are in our group, they've been dealing with this trauma for decades, okay? And 99 out of 100, okay, I would say, they don't heal on their own. They're coming back decades later saying, this happened and it messed up my life, it derailed me. The healing has to start, 99 out of 100. So if you do need to talk to somebody, get it out. Start that healing process because, we just want you to be healthy and protect yourself out there. Okay.
Yeah, I can talk about boundaries. Yeah, so this is one of the other crucial components of any kind of healthy relationship, and we're not just talking about relationships with significant others or romantic or sexual partners. You need boundaries in all of the relationships in your life, with your friends, with your parents, with your siblings, with your teachers, with your coaches, all of the people in your world. You want to have healthy boundaries with them, so that's why we're touching on this here. One of the things Brian and I like to talk about, because I think we're both former people pleasers, is you don't have to be a people pleaser. You don't have to say yes to everything. You want to really say what's true to you in every relationship in your life, so that's really crucial. We also talk a lot about physical, intellectual, and emotional boundaries. So you can see those up here. Intellectual boundaries, these are the kind of things you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis in your classrooms, out in the world, talking with your friends. But you're also going to encounter this a lot in college as well, or whatever you do after high school. Everyone has different values, beliefs, and ideas, and you want to be able to respect those, but still, have your own ideas and thoughts about different issues out in the world. Essentially, boundaries are just essential to having any kind of strong and healthy relationship, so we want this to be front of mind for you all. We're also going to very briefly talk a little bit about gaslighting. I wonder if this is a topic that you all have encountered or heard of before. This is really important when we're thinking about healthy relationships. And I'm sure all the folks here on the panels understand how important it is to have a good sense of what gaslighting is so that you can avoid doing it to other people, but also be aware when it's happening to you. So you might see this in your friend groups or other friend groups where there are rumors and gossiping, when people are trying to distract you or minimize your thoughts and feelings, when they're trying to shift blame or deny wrongdoing. Gaslighting really is about making someone question things that are true, things that have actually happened to them, and it's a way to control the people that you're in relationships with. We also wanted to put this up here. There's a lot of text up here, but the basic idea is this is a range of the relationships that you can be in, and I like to think of it as kind of a gradient where you can move both ways on this chart, right? There are healthy relationships, there are unhealthy relationships, and there are abusive relationships. And the relationships in your life can exist anywhere on this spectrum, and they can move closer to healthier or closer to abusive really easily. So I think this chart is a helpful one to keep in mind so that you can make your relationships in your life as close to healthy as possible. And if they aren't there, and if you can't assert your boundaries safely or comfortably in those relationships, those probably aren't good relationships for you to be in. So we think this is really important here. Overall, your sexual and emotional health is absolutely crucial, and so you have a right and a responsibility to protect it. This was already underscored by the statistics that were shared earlier. This is a crucial part. Well, if you want to take anything away from what Brian and I shared today, you have a right and responsibility to protect yourself, and you want to be empowered with the resources and the skills to do that to the best of your ability. I just want to end here by having our information up here again. You can also just look up Women and Family Center hotline or sexual assault hotlines in Connecticut. You want to make sure you get the statewide specific ones so that you can be connected to us and all of the resources that we can offer you. And this is a good thing to have in your back pocket wherever you wind up next. Because whether you need this resource right now or in the future, I hope you don't. But you'll definitely be around people who do. Sexual violence is so common, it's so prevalent, and you and the people you love and care about deserve this kind of support. So that's our main takeaway from today. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it, and feel free to come up and ask questions later. Thank you all.
Our guest is a representative from Southern Connecticut State University VPAS, which is the campus Violence Prevention, Victim Advocacy, and Support Center. We have been going to Southern periodically since 2017, participating in their red flag campaigns, learning what is being done on college campuses, and bringing back what we can to the high school level. This past fall, we attended one of their functions and actually worked side by side on one of their campaigns. It was a great time, and we truly experienced their plan in action. We actually are planning to go back on April 25th to participate in their Take Back the Night event, which is well known on college campuses across the country. Today with us are Colin Kearney, coordinator of the VPAS, and Taylor Wazalewski and Gabriella Jordan, VPAS student workers.
Hi everyone, good morning. First of all, thank you so much for inviting us here to Westbrook High School. We're so excited to be here, and as you heard, we collaborated with your student leadership group this past October when they came to Southern to help us with one of the Red Flag campaign events that we held, which was really exciting. So thank you so much for having us. We want to talk a little bit about what it's like to be on a college campus and what services you may be able to find there, also some clubs and organizations you can get involved with. And for those of you seniors, any going to Southern? No? That's okay. So what we really want to try to reiterate to you today is that even if you're not going to Southern specifically, services like this exist on every college campus across the country. So even if you're leaving Connecticut, you'll still be able to find these services. So okay. So resources on campus. So I am the coordinator of victim advocacy and support services. So similar to Women and Family Center, We also have support for survivors of sexual assault through my office, and also have services available for those who've been impacted by dating violence, domestic violence, stalking, sexual harassment, sexual exploitation. And so I work really with students on their needs and support them through their journey, whatever that looks like, and it's different for every student. Some students need support moving residence halls. They may be living in a hall with someone that they feel uncomfortable around. They may be in a class that they feel that they can no longer be in. So we work to move schedules around. We work to connect them with health services if possible, counseling services, really just meeting that student wherever they are and supporting them through their journey. It's really important to know that I don't force students to go to police. It's really if that's their choice, then I support them through that process. We do have university police on our campus. It's important to know when you go into college if you have security or if you have actual police department directly on your campus. Most will, but some of the community colleges I know in Connecticut have security, but either way, those are also resources for you. Right before you enter college over the summer, so for those seniors, you may see this pop up over the summer, you'll be invited to participate in a Title IX or sexual violence prevention, domestic violence prevention survey, which is it's actually more of a training for you. So pay close attention to that, because at the end of that training, you'll see where are the resources directly on your campus, so where you're going. It's really important to kind of get that information before you step on campus, so that you know, hey, just know, like, where are the support services located? What building are they in? Are they close to where I'm living on campus? Or if you're commuting, kind of where is that located? That way, just know in advance, should you ever, or should a friend need support, you know where that is. Also, if you're living on campus, your RAs or your resident assistants are really helpful in being able to connect you to services. So definitely get a nice relationship going with your RA. They're there to support you. They have a lot of information, and they've been around the campus for a while, so they could definitely give you some advice and some support. Clubs and organizations on campus. So we have a club called Peace, which is for students who are really interested in working to prevent sexual and domestic violence. So we really do a lot of events on campus, awareness events. Our athletes are really involved with us. In the past, our football players wear a red flag on their helmet. All of our athletes attend our Take Back the Night event. So they support us in a lot of different ways. We do a lot of specific work with athletes. So no matter what club organization that you're involved with, or if you're involved in athletics, try to look out for some type of a organization on your campus. It may not be called VPAS. They're all sort of have different names to them, but definitely check out the websites in advance. Just make sure you're familiar with where these opportunities can be. I'm not going to talk too much about be aware of your surroundings. I'll leave that to Taylor and Gabby. We talked a little bit about that earlier as well. But just so you're aware, there is something called the Red Zone, which is August, September, all the way really until Thanksgiving. And that's called the Red Zone because that's the highest time. That's when over 50% of sexual assaults take place during that time. So you really want to be aware that that statistic is out there, that's real. That's when we receive the most reports, and even coming back after winter break, because you'll have about a month off. Around January, you'll go back to college, and even integrating back after winter break, we will see a spike in assaults during that time. So we just wanted to make you kind of aware of that time period. And I'm gonna pass it over to Taylor and Gabby to give you some advice from a college student's perspective.
Hi everyone, my name's Taylor.
I'm Gabby.
And a couple tips just from a college student's perspective is most students are assaulted by people they know, whether it's in their friend group or just a classmate. So our fourth point kind of connects to that of just try to surround yourself with people that you feel safe with going out And I know Brian mentioned it earlier, that just be safe at parties, don't leave your cup, just especially do not leave your friends, have someone to walk home with. Do you want to talk about being an active bystander?
Yeah, so our organization, we talk about the 3 Ds of ways to be an active bystander and how to help someone in a situation of if you see something, say something, whether that's intervening directly with the person, whether that's going and getting somebody you trust to help intervene in the situation to prevent it being a case or ending up some way that someone doesn't want.
The last point would be to use your resources that Colleen talked about and even the resources that the other speakers have talked about before you think you need them. They're there for you, and especially counseling on campus, I know a lot of students who go there proactively before things get out of hand and they think it's too much.
So really, just to kind of wrap up our portion, we really encourage you to get involved on campus. So look for those opportunities to get involved with clubs and organizations. Look for opportunities to know what the resources are. Make connections on campus. Many students come and feel isolated a little bit because it's hard to make friends, or they're in a new situation. You're away from home, you're away from family. So make sure you get involved. It's really essential. It's a great way to make friends. There's lots of different opportunities for you. Take any of the trainings and workshops that you are offered, especially when you first come onto campus. Take them seriously. It's really important that you know where the resources are. Like I said, you're in a new environment, so you want to be prepared. And it's really also too, if you should need to help a friend or your roommate, you just have no idea, you're in a new environment. So make sure you're aware of your resources, and always support survivors. That's really the theme I think that all of the presenters have shared. It's never the survivor's fault. It's so essential that you believe them, that you support them, and don't blame them for what's happened. It's not their fault. And just be an active bystander. If you see something, go get help. Try to create a distraction to get that person out of that situation. Just do something, whatever you can. You may think, oh, somebody else is gonna step in and fix it. And the research tells us that's not true. The more people that are around, the less likely it is that someone's gonna step in. So make sure that it's you. Keep yourself safe while doing so, but try to do something to help someone. And if you have any questions about being a college student or Southern Connecticut State University, we'll be here for a little while after. So thank you so much for your attention.
So we didn't plan this next step, but I'm going to ask the seniors to come up here and just explain the experience that you had at Southern, what you did, what it was like, to give the audience an idea of what you participated in on that day, okay?
So we went to Southern to do the Red Flag campaign. When we got on campus, we met, we saw their building, saw what they work out of, saw the stuff they were working on.
And then we sat behind a table and we helped them stop college students and asked them to write a red flag on a literal red flag and a green flag on another green flag. And then we'd put it up all through the center of their campus.
So it just gave us a really good experience to see what their students were viewing as red and green flags, and then also what they were actively working on in their offices and on their campus. So it just gave us a really good idea of what they're doing and what their students are thinking. So it was a really good experience.
Thank you.
Okay. So our next guest is from Safe Futures in New London, Connecticut. Safe Futures is a domestic violence service providing help for people dealing with domestic abuse throughout southeastern Connecticut. This is an agency with the longest of connections to Westbrook High School, going back over 10 years ago when we made contact and visited to learn about their program and offerings. This past January, a group of us toured part of their facility and participated in a meeting that addressed the many facets of domestic violence and the assistance through Safe Futures. If you recall our giving tree during the holidays, a lot of the items were donated to their cause. I'm pleased to introduce Naz Ojeda to present.
Good morning, everyone. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it's really great to be the last person or if you're all just ready to go. A deep gratitude to the students that invited me here, and I really just want to say that to those of you who answered and took the survey, and you know, the beauty of doing things anonymously, right, is that we can safely tell our truths. The risk is that those of us who need help remain invisible. So, you know, it's a call to action to all of us in the room, right? To be safe people and to create safe places so that we don't have to feel like we have to remain invisible, right? Safe Futures has been doing the work of supporting victim survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and trafficking in southeastern Connecticut for the last 48 years. I've had the pleasure and the privilege of being a part of their staff for the last 12. When I was invited to be a speaker today, I really thought about the importance of mentioning the statistics and the facts, and I'm happy that all of my colleagues shared them for me. I thought I would take a different route. I thought that instead of talking to you about the facts and the statistics, which you already know, I would share something different. And I would talk to you about Naz, the human, not the Director of Education and Community Engagement. I would talk to you about Naz, the survivor. I stand in front of you and I represent one of those 1 in 3. If you think about that number, that means that for every third chair sitting in this room, a person like you is like me. I see you and I'm here for you. The statistic also shows us that it all happens before the age of 18. That's also true for my experience. My community saved my life. My friends, my family, the groups that I was a part of as a student saved my life. If there's anything that you learn from this experience, you know, is that you're all so aware, so conscious, so smart, so bright. You are in the best time of your life. When I was a young person, one of the hardest experiences I had was holding a secret and also being told that the relationships I was experiencing weren't a big deal, that I would get over my heartbreak, that if it felt wrong or abusive or unhealthy, it wouldn't matter because someone else would come along and do right. I'm here to tell you that the relationships you are in right now are the most important relationships of your life. You get to set a tone for who you want to be, for what you accept and what you don't. You get to be curious, you get to have fun, you get to have experiences. If the truth is that 1 in 3 of us experience violence, assault, all the scariness of the world, the other side of that is that we can also be support. We could be the ally. We could be that friend that says, I see you, I'm here for you. Again, we could talk about the statistics, but I'm here to share the truth. Another beautiful part about April and about what makes me me is that it's a celebration of poetry. I encourage those of you who are like me to find your niche, right? Find what feels good, what feels healing, whether it be exercise, yoga, the arts, music, hanging out with friends, whatever that is, find it. Before I go today, I wanted to share a piece that is sort of a composite of the experience I've shared. 1, being a survivor, 2, being an advocate, and 3, getting to share my time, which I think I have the best job in the world, being an advocate, being a facilitator, getting to meet students like you, and reminding you that surviving looks like this most days. Most days I get to come out, I'm proud of the fit, you know. The hair does what it needs to do. Sometimes it's not as pretty, sometimes it's really hard to get up, sometimes it's hard to smile, sometimes it's hard to want to be here. But I'm here, and I'm here for you all, and you all fill me with so much passion and compassion. Because while the statistic is true, it doesn't have to remain your truth. So here we are. Why does eloquence come to mind when I think about how I want to explain this thread in my story? I think this must sound palpable. I think no one wants stomach cramps or a knot in their throat. No one wants to find vulnerability trickling down their cheeks, so this feels like a setup. Because when you ask my why I stayed, when you look confused and say, but you didn't tell anyone? Anyone? I feel like the joke's on me. Like I got up here to tell you that, you see, I have known scary. I have known death, but also I have known resurrection. I built myself up, stitched myself back together, molded a body of thick skin. I packed my bag with all the essentials, flashbacks and triggers included. I wore my best shoes. I choose every day to be, to push, to press. And you want to know the details. You want to know what was there, who was there, what was missing. And here is what I will say. I am not. No one who is like me will be a part of your 8 p.m. Special Victims Unit marathon. You cannot binge watch me and walk away feeling sorry, but free. I will tell you, walks his princess down the aisle to her chosen love. He sold me dreams and made me feel like I mattered, and then at the same time he was monstrous. Before I knew to ask for help, I was trapped in a world where everyone saw me as the favorite girl and no one saw what I saw. No one. No one saw his face and what it looked like when the moon shone and when he slipped in my bedroom, or what his voice sounded like when he whispered in my ear. This is our secret. Are you still there? Did you just clear your throat or shift in your seat a little bit? See, here's the thing. I didn't ask you here to offer me apologies. And no, I don't need a hug. I asked you here because for years now I have been doing the work of an advocate. For years I have witnessed others like you ask others like me, why did you stay? Why didn't you leave? But you are not actually ready to listen, and I need you to listen. My people, mi gente, have the saying when someone passes away, te acompaño en tus sentimientos. I accompany you in your emotions, or I am with you while you feel. I need you to know that knowing the why is not important, that nightmares are not meant to be unpacked or understood. Don't ask why or how or when or who. I need you to understand, to really listen. I chose you. They chose you to be with them. Please, be different. We get to choose to be safe people. And really quick before I finish, I want everyone to make a bit of an effort to look around the room. Just turn your head to the left, to the right, behind you. All right. Radical change happens really small. It starts small. By being a safe person, you get to be in a safe community, right? I believe that love is the answer and that you are the answer to having healthy relationships, friendships, and healthy communities. And all I ask is that you be a safe person. Thank you.
Now that we all have a better idea of domestic violence, we have a quick video we'd like to show you on the red flags.
Where have you been? What's going on? You were meant to quit today. I don't want you working.
Thanks for calling. Leave a message after the tone. We'll get back to you.
Hey, it's me again. We haven't seen you in ages. Call me back.
I thought I said the green dress.
The red flags of domestic violence are often hard to spot. If something doesn't feel right in your relationship, find information and support at thehandyguide.com.au.
So we have the 4 steps for prevention. Step 1 is speak up. When you hear or see things that support domestic violence, speak up and say what's right. Step in. When one person is mistreated another verbally, physically, or emotionally, step in politely to stop the situation if it is safe to do so. Talk later. Sometimes it is better to wait and talk to the abuser or the abused later in private. The conversation may be more open and less defensive when one-on-one. And finally, know your resources. These are all the people who we've had up here today. Talk, call, reach out. It's what they're here to do.
So we're coming to conclusion, and would like to thank everyone. You know, when you put things like this together, you hope for the best. You know there's going to be, little issues here and there and obstacles, that we need to get around and over and through. But I don't think we ever thought it was going to be to this magnitude today, and it's all due to our guests that are here today. So we can please give them a hand again. Thank you so much. The things that we learn, there is no curriculum written for it. We learn from the people that are out in the community, the people that are doing the work. Everyone up here is what we have been able to get the info that we shared with you today and get the knowledge, and mostly to get the passion and the hope to move forward on this. Today during our lunches, we will have a table set up with red flags and green flags. We're going to ask you that you put some messages on them, so you might want to think, of what message you can put on it, with healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships, and we'd like to display them when we get back from vacation. So once again, I'd like to thank the administration, Ms. Winch for allowing this to happen, the Latitude, the faculty for giving up their time, and all of you, for giving attention throughout this assembly today. Ms. Winch, I gather people will be going to period 2 now? Okay? All right, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to speak with any of the presenters, feel free to come up and do so.